For this special season finale episode, Learn, Learn, Learn is doing things a little bit differently in order to examine two of Dr. Henry Halliday's presentations back to back. If it seems like the two halves of this episode were recorded as individual shows, that's because they were. The first half of the program was recorded by Dr. Halliday at the very beginning of this year, while the second half was recorded several months later, in May 2022. This episode aims to juxtapose the two presentations in order to allow the audience, or students out there, the ability to compare and contrast certain issues, as well as consider other issues that may be exclusive to one half of the show or the other. Throughout this experimental episode, a variety of subjects will be covered. Some information might be updated in the next block of the program, while other things may have advanced beyond the show in the months since it was recorded. That's the point. After 2 seasons of Learn, 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 anyone out there who's been paying attention should find it interesting to observe how quickly, or in some cases how slowly, technology advances. How errors, human or otherwise, can create setbacks, complete failures, and of course startling successes. It's all part of this growing technology all around us, and it is taking us places that we could never have dreamed possible. So sit back, relax, and let our host, Dr. Henry Halliday, walk you through some of the biggest issues faced in the first half of 2022. Most of all, enjoy the show.
First, let's take a quick review across technologies. Financial. Cryptocurrency is becoming more widespread as banks and other organizations get involved for non-federal backed securities. Banks will probably offer the service as another broker service to cryptocurrencies for a fee like other existing brokers. As an investment vehicle, it is not clear why it is, as there are no physical attraction other than the unknown and a limited subscription to the funds. As originally envisioned, as I understand it, blockchaining, which is a fundamental part of cryptocurrency, was proposed for manufacturers and suppliers to be linked securely for sharing supply, payment, and design communications, not as an investment tool. Manufacturing. Current manufacturing is still suffering from transportation, distribution, stagnation, and component shortages. Skilled employees are not coming back to work, and part availability is still an issue due to COVID. This is resulting in more robotic introduction to replace or supplement human labor and to use 3D printing to build missing parts on site throughout the industry. Business. Still more businesses are adapting work at home to accommodate those who are single parents, need more flexibility in the work environment, reduce transportation time and expense, and or other personal reasons. Workers are adapting to using apps for part-time work with variable hours, differing tasks, and quick payment. Transportation. Many rapid transportation projects are being slowed by the lack of raw materials, skilled drivers, and workers. New battery innovations with potential improved performance for cars and life and cost reduction are making the news with few details but a lot of promises. We'll see. Medical. All action seems to be focusing on COVID, whether it's shots, testing, new pills, or infection spreading times, which are now about 10 days, but changing to 5. It is hoped that 2022 will finally slow the infection rate. Security. Hacking and ransom actions remain at the top of the news with no easy fix, other than warnings. A new alert has been noted on the use of QR codes, those black and white boxes you see on your mobile phone and portable devices, that your camera or mobile phone interprets for menus or deals may be used by scammers to access your devices. Be careful. Currently, there are no standards or regulations that assure valid use for these encoding mechanisms. Every user needs to make sure of the source, if you can, or to use known vendors' sites separately. Communications. 5G and 5GS, which is a high-speed version, are in deployment now, and discussions of 6G are already in the wind with few details available at this point. Aerospace. Boeing continues to be ready to launch the Advanced Launch System, ALS, as a key step to the launch of new missions to the moon. A new space telescope to replace Hubble has been successfully unfolded and is now being positioned 1 million miles from Earth to start its search for new things in the universe. Private launches are becoming so routine that little attention is provided by the press. Computing. More crypto companies have been announced, and there are now several thousand of them, requiring extremely high-powered facilities. Some consideration is being given to reintroduce nuclear energy as a lower scale down for global warming issues and other conventional means. Robotics. Expanded use of drones as weapons of war continues for land, sea, and air utilities. The use of robot dogs carry weapons has been discussed, but the U.S. has announced it has no such plans. And now let's take a look at more detail of specific technologies. An increasing number of people seem to be using blockchain crypto processes for secure investment opportunities. That is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, etc., even with no government regulations in sight or control or monitoring in place. At this time, no positions have been announced by the government. The situation is complicated by some governments outside the U.S. declaring cryptocurrency as their official currency with no real backing. If these unregulated buy-sell transactions are for investment, how will capital gain loss be reported? How or who will do tracking of cryptocurrency? Is cryptocurrency really currency or just another hyped interaction creation? The value appears to only speculation, user buy-sell actions, and a program to limit subscriptions. So there's the limited resource. This is different from stocks where companies have some physical value since price can establish it and think what the media is worth or will be worth. A physical company that has physical locations, products, and people that are physical does provide some value plus future estimates. Who stands behind or is accountable for cryptocurrency, since only server farms are running the business, and there are now several thousand so far. For years, the gaming community has been using the web tokens, which are purchased through brokers to buy virtual buildings, land, and things to create environments for entertainment and or challenge, and only profit by seeing that their virtual ownings increase. Metaverse envisions linking real and virtual passions in one environment, but with what controls regulations is undefined. This discussion only started. Expect this to be further discussed in future podcasts, but note crypto scams are increasing, so be careful of your sources. Manufacturing. A company has announced a new process that partially breaks down the cotton organic material and leaves it stronger and denser, and it behaves like synthetic fibers. Could this mean the end of plastic fibers that are not biodegradable? What about the washability and durability? Maybe only time will tell us, as manufacturers are lining up to accommodate this new cloth into their lines. The lack of workers returning is speeding up implementation of more cobots, not only in factories but in distribution centers and other commercial enterprises. Business. The lack of raw materials, parts, and employees is slowing recovery and driving inflation. Fed action is expected to raise interest rates to to further impact recovery. As new employment is using part-time workers with no permanence, a significant question arises. How will other non-benefit work like medical, Social Security, and taxes be handled and tracked? Transportation. Several companies are said to want to introduce flying taxis that would be electric powered with a range of 2 to 150 miles and don't require a runway. They would have to be very quiet in operation and have better redundant systems to improve reliability and usability. Advances in battery technology currently used in cars would benefit from the air taxi approach. Charges expect to be comparable to luxury car services such as offered currently by Uber. Robotics. Increased resolution of optical sensors and integrations with radar/sonar sensors and the use of artificial intelligence, AI, software has expanded the range of cobot applications. This means physical barriers will be replaced with software zones for safety, among other robotic uses. Social robots are on the rise. Here's a mix of technology and human interests, at least in Japan, where robotic pets with AI, artificial intelligence, are being used as companions for senior citizens for teaching sociability in children's classrooms and other areas. These robots have animal-like appearances, for example, cats, dogs, or even no shape, to react to voice, motion, and petting without feeding, cleanup, and normally associated with living pets. These social robots are popular in Japan, but are sure to spread. Dogs have been used for a long time in hospitals as emotional aids. We now have a new human use for robotics. Another maybe questionable technology front, it's official now, the U.S. government has announced a new group that has been created to investigate airborne object identification and management synchronization for identified aerial phenomena, or UAP. What we used to call UFOs is already described in over 140 reports. Categories used so far include space junk, atmospheric or climatic idiosyncrasy, or classified aircraft tests by U.S. contractors, none of which pose any threats. A separate oversight council from the Defense Department and intelligence agencies will oversee the group's efforts. I guess UFO is too restrictive. Now maybe aircraft will need to install high-resolution, long-range cameras as part of their protection and surveillance suite. Technology integration. Now, many factories are integrating cobots, 3D printed parts made on site, and automated maintenance features to become more integral as a part of manufacturing, warehouse, and distribution centers. In addition, many sites have been forced to integrate more robotic capabilities to increase throughput, especially due to the lack of human workers. When workers decide they want to become entrepreneurs rather than routine jobs, what choices do businesses have where routine or monotonous work is required? Medical. In another breakthrough, a liquid-like substance has been developed which, with heat transmissions into a bone-like structure, to aid in healing of broken bones. A mold could be created around a broken bone, the liquid poured in and hardened in place, and would be compatible with existing bones. Security. AirTags, a device introduced by Apple last year to help people keep track of private property, has found to allow stalking of people and things, for instance cars, by others for potential harm, robbery, or nefarious use. The good news is that Apple devices may report such use even though you might not use them. We are continuing to be attacked by hackers, especially ransomware, so make sure that you check your emails for phony senders by checking the email address as one that you recognize or know. Don't open attachments unless you know the sender. Communications. The latest 5G issue seems to be for potential of interference with aviation communications. Some information is available so far, and the FCC and federal agents are investigating. Apparently, the interference is with altimeters, which primarily used for landing with restricted visibility, for example, fog, rain, or snow during landing. Currently, 5G signal strength in airports is being reduced. Air traffic may further suffer in addition to COVID issues until this issue is fully resolved. Some restrictions have been lifted as justified.
Is technology moving too fast or not fast enough? Are we solving our problems in a lasting, meaningful way? What happens tomorrow? Nearly a half year later, Henry Halliday will reevaluate the issues covered in part 1 of this episode. And so much more.
A quick preview across technologies. Financial. Cryptocurrency rumors about a USA digital dollar continue, and what this means to our economy is still not known. However, with no current gold or current physical basis for the US dollar, only the details of what is cash or virtual cash is left. Manufacturing. Supply chains are still rebuilding or being replaced to provide alternatives to the out-of-country sources. Business. Lack of skilled workers, accentuated by government money out of work incentives and individuals seeking entrepreneurial dreams, is slowing worker returns. Transportation. The automobile and trucking industries are in a drastic revolution, due in part to the electrification process and in part of the changes in the design and integration of mechanical, electrical, fuel, and lifetime maintenance components into vehicles. Medical. The war of COVID continues with a futuristic booster schedule being assessed. As with annual flu shots, the continued evolution of COVID may suggest annual shots like flu to minimize the severe reactions, hospitalization, and death. Security, almost an issue daily, as each individual user of the internet is required to exercise due diligence as part of the final defense, as companies continue to also improve their resources. Communication. The number of low-orbiting satellite systems continues to grow to support better global communications, but there is still no handle on how to handle orbital clutter or debris. 5G mobile. This method of communication is being pushed for expanded in-home use, particularly in support of in-home device use and to replace hardwired device connections in the home, and also lower speed devices and capacity of integrated methods. Aerospace. The world is still waiting for the launch of the U.S. Advanced Launch System, ALS. Drone technology is now expanding applications to incorporate artificial intelligence to automatically assess targets and take action independently, for this may include destruction. Computing. The shortage of computer chips is still a major market issue, particularly the dependence on foreign suppliers, and the U.S. is trying to build more U.S. facilities. The increased use of battery-powered transportation is further increasing the demand for computing and monitoring functions in vehicles for tracking battery status, surroundings, user, and safety features. Robotics. Automated deliveries and driverless vehicles still face stiff resistance due to safety issues and the vehicle-to-vehicle communications, which still is in development. And now let's take a more specific look at some technologies. Financial. Craze over digital currency, cryptocurrency that is, seems to be continuing with reason for the hype, except for speculation jitters, like, what am I missing? Or, I better join now and make sure I don't miss an opportunity. There's some speculation that the U.S. government is considering the replacement of the U.S. dollar with digital currency, but with no announced plan or schedule. Some brief outlines have surfaced, but lack definitive steps. It would seem like a good idea, as there is no current physical basis for the U.S. dollar. In addition, there is no indication of how to move to a cashless society. Admittedly, there is some evidence of credit card only transactions out there, and some isolated businesses are going credit card only. Cash transactions or payments are still widely used, especially among the lower paid people and or people with no internet connection. Does this mean that all U.S. residents, men, women, and children need to be issued a government or personal crypto account by the government, and that the U.S. would then become a cashless society, a la 1984 version? What happens when people travel outside the U.S.? There has already been evidence of fraud on supposed independent crypto accounts. The blockchain, which is the fundamental basis of crypto, was originally envisioned as giving all participating entities, that is, suppliers, subcontractors, and sellers, a secure way of seeing all components of building, supplying, and using a common secure network for communication. Theoretically, everyone in the blockchain account can see everything else all users are doing. Manufacturing, business, technology, and integration. Here I am combining three areas into a single topic because so many of our products have become smart systems, starting with the electrification of vehicles, power systems to space, and other systems that include these elements. Whereas a final product used to consist of assembling a collection of parts into a completed product and sold to the consumer was standard. Now, a completed product consists of many electronic and electromechanical subsystems integrated into a completed product where the product life, maintenance, and utility are an integral part of that product. Led by the transportation industry, that is cars, trucks, buses, trains, and planes, and now even appliances in the home, use the same digital approach to design, build, and maintain these products. Product Lifecycle Management, or PLM, has become a new mantra, where computer-designed components, subassemblies, assemblies, and completed integrated products are delivered, maintained, and monitored throughout the product life cycle. Throughout the process, computer analysis, simulations, and interface testing is performed and serialized. Even maintenance and repairs are logged and maintained in databases. Transportation. New automotive technology, besides electrification, is focusing on driver safety, convenience, and usability. As example, forward collision warning and avoidance, which alerts the driver of pending collisions and automatically applies braking or other steering actions. Adaptive cruise control maintains correct distance, spacing, and speeds with a safe spacing between vehicles independent of the speed. Blind spot warning to alert driver of something alongside or out of direct sight for mirror coverage on the sides and rear, and even in the front. Lane departure warning and correction. This allows the vehicle to automatically correct and maintain the forward direction independent of road twists and turns. Drowsy driver alert. Using driver attentives via driver movement, eye, or other visible touching of the steering wheel is included. Reverse safety alerts. Through backup sensors, the driver is alerted to people and vehicles and other items in the rear that may not be normally assessed. Future technology is still evolving across vehicle-to-vehicle 5G communication for accidents avoidance through artificial intelligence, assessing real-time multi-vehicle continuous assessment to anticipate potential accident avoidance. P.S. Is it any wonder that the automotive market is hurting for semiconductor chips? More than 80% come from foreign suppliers, and as such suppliers are affected more by COVID than the U.S. people because of factory shortages, shipping delays, and distribution disruptions. Robotics. A new robot training technique using artificial intelligence together with simulations of situations, terrains, surfaces, and other conditions to enable a robot to learn to adapt its movements by itself rather than using pre-trained or pre-programmed approach. For instance, a four-legged vehicle with the AI approach may result in a different way of using its legs or other preconditioned traits. More attention is being addressed to cobots to better integrate robots into varied work environments and help live workers to be more adaptive to robots in the workplace. Medical. The past breaking news involved a man's heart replaced by a genetically modified pig's heart. Well, the test vehicle died, but no cause has yet been announced. Suspicions are that some other factors other than the heart itself may have been an issue. You might ask, why animal organ? Well, the human hearts available for transplant are so rare that none are usually available before a person dies. And the mechanical hearts, which there are some in play, are usually external or very limited in utility, such as movement of a person, and the longevity may require replacement quickly. At least maybe something is learned from this live experiment where there were no viable alternatives. In some cases, an internal pump with an external battery for power is used, but these are very limited in terms of serviceability. Maybe the same technology could be developed for vehicle electrification could be applied. Security. The continuing conflict in Ukraine and Russia of the use of onboard cyber intrusions has emphasized the importance of user internet wariness. Watch for suspicious emails, advertisements, and communications. Choose non-repetitive passwords. Home automation. This is my involvement with communication in the home. As wireless communication continues to expand and homes' devices improve, a new question evolves on utility. Many lower demand or low data rate devices such as alarms, control switches, and lighting are now using the 2.4 gigahertz or Z-Wave Zigbee links. Use of 2.4 or Z-Wave command and control links depends on distance, device stability, application, and hardware support. Technology has evolved rapidly as both Wi-Fi and Z-Wave have built-in extenders to overcome structure walls and distance from centralized control. I personally have multiple hardwired 2.4, 5 gigahertz access points for remote cameras and low-rate Z-Wave devices which work together. The advantage of Z-Wave is the plug-in devices also serve as repeaters so distances far from a central Z-Wave hub can be supported. If you've seen my award trophy displays, the lighting is controlled by programmed on and off Z-Wave switches. Other lighting in halls, rooms, displays, and outdoor lighting are under program control, which includes more than a dozen different types of switches. And for outdoor control, I'm using a program timer just because it's better, it holds up better under weather. The technical support issue for all these functions has been a real pain in the side, because some are hard to get to, some are impossible to get to, and need to find other ways to test or evaluate whether a current technology feature will work. Essentially, all cases I've chosen AC powered devices, as battery power is so time limited and expensive in the long term. In everyone's situation, choices are available and should be assessed by each individual case. It should be mentioned that I've been involved with technology for my entire career, both at home and at work, and probably that's why I became an engineer in the first place. I find staying involved with all technology is challenging, and I hope that it stimulates your own interest in exploring new things. There are now more than 15 billion Internet of Things (IoT) connections, expected to reach 30 billion by 2027. In addition, this means more than 73 trillion bytes of data will be collected by 2025. This includes industrial, automotive, and of course, end of usage devices in home, entertainment, and diverse devices. Initially, IoT device interfaces paid little attention to security, but with the evolution of sophisticated botnets, security became an important addition. This increased use necessitates better system management and security, which the IoT community is beginning to recognize and implement solutions. Well, this is about all for this time. I hope to see you again in the next podcast.